What's up guys, D-Libs here. Today we're going to be doing a complete attacker tier list for Year 9 Season 1 here in Rainbow Six Siege. If you guys haven't already, go and check out my Defender one, it just went out a few days ago. And we're doing it a little bit differently than we have in some of the past tier lists on this channel. Instead of doing the traditional S, A, B, C, D tier, we're going to have the top tier be meta, and then going down the line we'll have great, good, okay, and situational. Basically for meta, we'll just put all the operators in there that fit the current strategy, basically the ones that are the most powerful right now. And then great can be all the best operators that aren't necessarily a part of the meta. Good and okay are self-explanatory. And then situational, we'll put operators in there if they aren't necessarily the best to have always, but it's not fair to put any operators in like a D or F tier or whatever. So that's how we're going to be judging it on this video, and we're just going to do it right as they appear at the bottom of your screen here. So we're going to start off with Sledge. Sledge is an all-time consistent pick. I don't think I'll ever be mad at seeing a Sledge get chosen, so we're going to put him in good. Thatcher, I think, has always just been great. It's always good to have a Thatcher no matter what. Even with the game's landscape changing as much as it has, it's just still always good to have him, and that shows how versatile he is. Twitch, I think right now, with all of the nerfs that has happened to her in the past, I think she just has to go in the okay category. There was a time when she was definitely in that great, and maybe even in the meta category, but for right now, I think okay just about suits her well. Monty is situational. He can be really good if you know how to play Monty the right way, but even if you do play him the right way, he might not always be perfect to have, so that's why I think situational is a good category to have, so we'll leave it at that. Ashe, right now in this current moment with the ACOG, is definitely meta, and that's literally the only reason that she is. I saw this statistic that showed like the increase in how often she gets chosen now on attack ever since she got the ACOG, and it's like an absolute skyrocket, so definitely that's the definition of meta. She's being chosen right now because of how powerful she is right now based off a recent update. Thermite, he's just really good, you know? I mean, he's always been probably the best hard breacher in the game, and I think this tier list is going to actually end up reflecting that pretty well. So bread and butter right at the top there at great with Thatcher and Thermite. IQ right now is good. I've said it before, she's one of my favorite operators, just such a good one to have. It gives your team so much intel, and when you're on attack, you're already at such a disadvantage, so it really just helps you out. And you have such a good loadout selection as well. Now Blitz, it's very different than compared to Monty. Some of you are probably angry that I skipped right over the fact with the shield rework that just happened with Monty, but this shield rework has made Blitz unstoppable. Without a doubt, he is meta. I actually played a ranked game earlier today before I was recording this where there was a guy on my team that just went Blitz and no one knew how to like play against him yet with his whole new rework, and I mean he just slaughtered everyone. He had like 8 or 9 kills, which is just ridiculous for someone who played, you know, Blitz 4 times that game. Now moving back on, we have Glaz. Glaz is definitely situational. You know, I think he's kind of the embodiment of a situational operator, because there are times when he's cool and all, but there are times when he's really not, so I think that works out. Fuze right now I think falls in the good category. Now I think this is debatable. I think this could go in okay, and I also think it could go in situational, but with the state that he's in right now, I think he's actually pretty good to have on almost every objective. Now Buck is another consistent one, always good to have. I'd put him always on the same level as Sledge as well. I don't think either one of them are better than the other at doing what they do. I don't really think he's going to fluctuate much through the years. Blackbeard is situational, I would say. He's really just not a great operator right now, but I'm pretty sure there is a Blackbeard rework coming. I don't think it's actually confirmed yet, that's why I say I'm pretty sure, but it seems pretty likely. So who knows, by the end of year 9, he could definitely be in the meta category. I'll be excited to see what Ubisoft ends up doing with him, because he definitely needs it. Capitao is really underrated to me, you know, and I'm gonna try to keep this as objective as I can, not in any sort of opinionated way, so I'm gonna put him in the okay category, because I think that's where most people would put him, but for me, I'd probably put him in good. I don't think he gets really recognized enough for what he does. He is just so good, so we're gonna leave it at that. Hibana, like I said, I'm pretty sure this tier list is gonna reflect the levels to how good each hard breacher is, and I think Hibana is just good, you know. I think Thermite is always a better alternative to Hibana, but she is good, you know. She's never a bad pick, and her type 89's a beast, so I like that. Jackal is another great operator. I think I would put him in meta, but he gets banned just automatically every single game, so there's no reason to really put him in the meta if you can never even play him. But when he is available, he's definitely meta. One of the most powerful operators in the entire game. Ying right now I'm going to say is great as well, right next to Jackal. That's 2 in a row. I think you could even argue Ying to be in the meta. She's just so powerful, with such a powerful gun, and her ability is just so annoying, but that's what makes it so good. But I think great is probably a good place for her to be. Zofia these days is just okay. You know, there's was a time when she was definitely one of the best fragging attackers in the game, but her time has passed. I think you could definitely argue for her to be good as well, but I think she probably falls into that same category with Capitao and Twitch, so I think everything checks out there. And Dokkaebi is going to be our third meta placement today. I mean, everything she does is just insane. And I mean, even with the nerf that we see, it's just like, she's still so good, and I think that just goes to show how powerful she really is. I think she really deserves that meta spot. Now I'm going to say Finka is actually good. I think she's had a lot more use to her ever since the addition of Fenrir into this game. You know, with her adrenal surges, she can shorten the time that his dread mines actually do anything to you. So I do think that she has probably moved up the ranks from okay to good compared to, you know, before Fenrir was here. Now Lion, I'm also going to say is good, so that's 2 in a row, right next to his counterpart with Finka. Lion's another one of those guys that just makes the defenders' lives kind of difficult, and if people play him the right way, he is just really hard to counter. And honestly, sometimes there is no counter. Maverick in the current state is just going to be okay. He is a counter to Tubarão now, which I think does move him up, but I don't think it's enough to move him up a whole tier. It kind of doesn't seem right to have him in good, but I can see the argument. But we're going to leave him in okay, but just know that I can see the argument there. Nomad, I think, has just always been a solid operator. She hasn't had a whole lot of nerfs or buffs to her in the recent years. She's just good to have. Gridlock's the same exact way, pretty much the same reasoning. They do similar things, and they both have high-powered guns. I think they both are the embodiment of good operators. Nokk right now we're just going to say is okay. It's funny, this list is actually shaping up so differently compared to the defenders one. I think there's much more situational operators for the defenders. So it's just weird. I guess maybe attackers just have less situational operators. Speaking of situational, I think I spoke too soon because I think we have 2 back-to-back situational operators here with Amaru and Kali. I mean, you can't always make an argument for wanting an Amaru or Kali. In certain situations, Amaru is great for, you know, map control, or if you want to go rush, then yeah, she's great. But it's just not an operator that I'm necessarily excited to see my teammates pick every time. If anything, it scares me a little bit. And Kali is just, I think she's really good. She's one of my personal favorites, coming from a Call of Duty sniper from back in the day. So she's fun to use, but she's just really not someone who contributes to a lot of team success or team strategy in Siege. Iana, I think, still sits in that meta spot. She's been sitting there since last year as well. I don't know if she's going to move. I don't know if she's going to be dethroned. She's really powerful still. She's just been so good, and her G360 is still just amazing. Now Ace, another hard breacher. I would say, look, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with this. I would say Ace is just as good as Thermite. I know that the way they do things, you know, 2 different ways. One of them is throwable and one of them you have to place it. But I think there are things that balance it out, and I don't know about you, but like, to me, Thermite and Ace are almost completely interchangeable. Like, they're the 2 top dogs when it comes to hard breachers, and I would always just consider Hibana to be 1 tier below that. So that's why I figured that this tier list would mirror the exact rankings between the hard breachers, if that makes sense. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I also used to be a pretty hard Ace main, so you know, maybe there is a little bit of bias seeping through. Zero, I think in theory, when you think about what he does, sort of like Valk on attack, I think he should be meta. He should be, but he's not. And it's honestly so bad, I think he has to go in the okay category. In theory, Zero should be in that top category in meta, but he's just not. He's just okay. Maybe you could argue that he's good, and maybe you could even argue that he's situational. I feel like I'd lean towards the good side a little bit more, but because I'm a little bit torn, I think okay is probably the good spot to be in. Flores, I think, is meta. I've talked about it before. Anti-gadget is everything in Rainbow Six Siege, and that's exactly what Flores does. He's so powerful, and he has a very powerful assault rifle with the AR-33. It's just a great one to have. Osa, we're gonna say, is either situational or okay. I think okay, just because she doesn't really fit in with all the guys down here in situational. When you think about it, I think she fits in more with the okay category. And speaking of situational, we're actually gonna put Sens in situational because she definitely is. I don't know, there's really never a time that I'm happy to see a Sens get picked. It's just sort of an obsolete ability. But like I said, there's no such thing as a bad operator if you play it right, or you know, if you use them right. So I think situational works out there. Grim right now I think is definitely good. I think that the buff that happened to him a few seasons ago definitely served him right. I think it was much needed because before that he was definitely the lowest tier that I could possibly be in. But right now I think he's just doing good. I think he's doing just fine. Brava, I'm gonna say, is probably good too. I'm a little bit torn about that one. I'm not totally settled on it, but I think good is probably where she belongs. Ram, I think is just okay. I think it was sort of a failed attempt at making an operator. Like, it's cool and all, I get it, it's fine, but I don't know, I didn't really see the vision. As soon as I saw the whole like preview of Ram coming out, I was like, so I don't know. And I think she lived up exactly to that initial reaction of just being, you know what I mean? And now with Deimos, our last operator. Normally when an operator comes out, you want to just put it right in the meta. That's how it's been for the last couple years. And I actually talked about this in one of my more recent videos. You should go check it out. But Deimos does not belong in the meta category, and nor does he belong in the great category. I think Deimos is just good. I think he is balanced. I think he's just a worse version of Jackal, or maybe sort of a worse version of Dokkaebi. He's just really not all that good to me. Like, I mean, it's not the fact that he isn't good. It's not the fact that he's bad. He's just there. He came into the game balanced, and we don't see that happen very often. I've been a little bit underwhelmed by him, you know, playing him in these past few days with the new season being out. I thought he was going to be better, but I'm not all that mad about it. I don't think we need another operator coming in and changing the entire game, but it is different compared to the past couple of years with new operators. Normally they just fall right into that meta category, but it's just different here. Let me know what you guys think about Deimos. And speaking of, this is our finished list, so let me know what you guys think of this list. I talked about it with the defenders one too, but I think having the most operators in the good category just makes sense. I think most operators in the game are just good, you know, they're not bad, they're not awesome, but they're just good, so I think it makes sense here. The meta category all makes sense. Those are all of the most played operators in the game right now according to the strategy, and everything else just sort of makes sense. As always, I want to hear your guys' opinions down in the comments, so let me know. And also let me know what you guys think about this new setup that I have here, you know, a little bit different from the traditional tier maker. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.